Happy Tuesday. Happy New Year, Rodney. You look awesome.
Not as good as you.
I'm
Not as good
telling
as
you.
you.
We look all refreshed and relaxed. And look who's here, our buddy Angie from California.
The Golden State.
The great state of California. Good. It's so good to see you here. Rodney, so tell me what's new. Is anything, what's new in your world?
Well, I'm hoping for a little bit of duck migration from up north with the bad
Mm-hmm.
weather. It's been a little bit of a slow duck season for us, but
Okay.
hoping that turns around the next few days. My kids, my youngest back to school at Page High. My
Nice.
oldest one's got a couple more weeks before he goes back to UT and getting back into the grind of it.
Yeah. That's Williamson County School District, not FSSD, right?
Yes, yes, Williamson County. Just
Yeah.
we're a public school kind of people.
But so highly rated. That's great. So here we go. I think this is our second January. I'm not sure. I don't know.
It is for sure.
I think it is. So it's going to be starting out the year. The reason I'm stumbling, I'm trying to figure out. Here's what I think that probably most people are going to be asking, and that is what is going to happen this year. I mean, we always feel like this January is a brand new thing when really it's just a continuation from December. But it feels brand new and everybody's got a new attitude. And so that's what today is going to be about. We're going to talk about Rodney's rates and go through all the stuff that is so well received. But we're going to be talking about, is the market going to suck less in 2024? I thought that was an appropriate title.
Yeah, that's a good one.
By the way, my name is Andy Elliott. I'm a realtor here in Williamson County, Tennessee. I am with my best buddy, Rodney Wilds, who is a loan officer also in Williamson County, Tennessee. If you have questions and you want to get a hold of us, our phone numbers, you can text, call, email. It's all going to be in the description box, easy to find. We'd love to chat with you about whatever is on your mind. So we are going to start with, should it be Rodney's rates? Should we start there?
Oh, that's where we.
I can do that. There you go.
All right, here we go. Again, I'm going to point back to you see this chart right here. It's red is bad, green is good. Okay, this is opposite. When this chart goes up, that means our rates are getting better. It's just kind of opposite of what you think. So if I'm just going to point back to here. We had been stumbling along a long time last year in this range back up in here. And then at the end, I guess, you can see August, September, all the way mid-October, it got down into highest where it was close to 8% right here. And as you can see, it's rebounded nicely and still on a good track upwards. The significant point about this right here is a lot of the predictions that everybody was making in 23 about what our rates would be like in 24.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've hit that mark. So we're starting out I'm excited about the new year because we're starting out where they thought we would end up rate-wise in 24.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about that. I like ripping that calendar off, especially when it's a bad year. That's what I do. When it's a bad year, it's not a continuation, Andy. It's a new year.
It's a new year. Okay.
If it's a good year, then it's a continuation. So,
okay.
But the way we look at it is, we're in a rate-wise, we're really good as comparatively to where we were and to where we were expected to be. So, and got a lot of news updates later this week, income reports. I think Wells Fargo, Citibank, most of the big ones are announcing Friday. And there's a few announcing, from today, their earnings report all the way through Friday. So
And that's where that's going to be an important piece of
Yeah,
information, right?
yeah, and the consumer price index and things like that about how much basically how much like Walmart is paying for goods and services they sell and things like that. So we're getting some really good numbers this week. So I expect some kind of once I guess they figure out where they're going to land, they're kind of trying to build that in today and tomorrow and last week.
And there's so much, yes, and so, and here's what I've noticed, and I think that we have a pretty good feel for the way mortgage rates respond. It's like Rodney always says, mortgage rate interest rate isn't everything, but it's a big, people are interested in that.
Yeah, it's yes, it's not everything, but it's hugely important. I mean,
It's hugely important. That's
yeah.
a great way to say it. But I think what I'm getting at is a decision isn't made solely upon that interest rate. At any rate, what I've seen, and we've seen this in the past, that now we're going to see this, I bet, for a while, we're going to see the interest rate dance around that 6.6 to 6.9. That's where it's going to be bouncing back and forth for a while. It's already happened.
Yes, it's. I think. Yeah, I'm hoping for a little bit of a faster come down, or just a decline. Not, and I really don't care the speed of it, because, and I think we'll cover it in one of these articles. Is that when things start going bad, they go bad quickly.
They go
It's
bad
not
really
like
fast.
it's not like, oh, it's been going bad for 10 years. I never hear that. It's like, man, that happened a lot sooner than I thought. It's like,
Yeah.
so,
Well,
that's with employment and a lot of stuff that typically happens like that. So,
yeah. And so we're going to head into a couple of things. We're going to do a couple of different slides. When I look at you and I say, "Oh, what did I say?" I get lost. So here's just a couple of thoughts just to kick us off for the thing. What's going to happen? It's kind of what's going to happen, but is it going to suck a little bit less this year? I believe and we have to go back just a little bit. Last year was weird. Home sales is down. We've got some really staggering numbers on how much the market dropped, how much home sales dropped last year. But it was really slow last year. That's nothing new. But Case-Shiller, we all know what that home index is. It tells us what home prices are doing. But it rose 4.8%. This is up in October, so it takes a little while for that to track. But 4.8% year over year. So the median home was $387,000. If you wanted to get a new home, it's $50,000 more than that. So what's going to happen this year? Is it going to be? I see prices as still going to be going up just a little bit. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, definitely so. Definitely so. I think I think we're still in a situation where we have inventory issues. It's not perfect. It's not great even. And until some of the pent up demand starts selling, there's not enough new construction can be built for that kind of a need. So,
Right.
I think it's still going. I think home prices are still going to stay fairly level to small increases, unless the rates go down and it creates a frenzy again, which is not out of the question. Just to be honest, I don't think it's out of the question for mid to late 2024. We could have multiple
home
offers
prices spike again. Okay. I mean, you would see that home prices start to spike a little bit again. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if
Possible.
absolutely. If rates come down to help ease affordability and
Yeah.
unlocks, the golden handcuffed effect, or however everybody wants to talk, when that starts easing up, I think we'll have more people listing and
Yes.
selling and buying,
Yes.
which would which would ease some of the inventory problems. But it's, I think if the rates go down, it's going to make our market more demand again.
Yes.
We just don't have enough properties.
Yeah. And I think it's something else. And this particular article, it touches on, and the reason I found it interesting is that you and I know, because we're in the industry, that rentals is kind of important. I mean, we don't really focus on the rental market so much, but if rentals get super expensive, that's when people start to jump out and start to buy houses, because it's unsustainable, and it just is anyway. But it's pretty easy for the market, meaning if rents start to drop, people will hold off. They'll slow down. And in this particular article, it talks about two things. Rents are rising, and so that puts that pressure for people to get to go out and buy a house if the house is available. But there's also, I also read in this article that there's somewhere close to 1 million apartments being built, in the process of being built.
Yes, and they even talked about some of them being luxury apartments and all that. But either way, it's still going to open up an apartment for someone. So I think that right there alone will definitely help. I mean, it's what they say it's roughly the nearest highest total we've seen since 1973. So since 73, million apartments under construction right now. Now, I'm thinking 73. Well, that was 50 years ago, right? So, I mean, of course we're supposed to be more. The country's had 50 million, 50 years of more population and all that. But anyways, that's still a staggering number. Which rising rents. So I guess we're saying that all these coming online, everybody's kind of projecting rents to stabilize in the markets that these are coming online at. Because I know we have a ton of them here. We have a ton of these apartments going up in Nashville and surrounding counties.
And like if you go down Carruthers, that's a street where we live down in Williamson County. It's like, as far as I'm concerned, that's like apartment row. They're just multi-stories on both sides of the street while you're driving down. It's crazy. And I had a friend who was living in an apartment a few years ago, and I'm going someplace with this story, and it was nice. I mean, I don't want to live in an apartment, but if you're in that position where it works for you, there was one place where it was just a communal area for the people that live in the apartment, nice pools. I don't know about saunas and stuff like that, but they're making it really attractive for people to stay, and pay that rent. And then to top that off, and Philip, hi Wendy. And then we've got Grant Cardone, who everybody knows is that multimillionaire real estate investor. He's telling everybody that we're moving to a rental society where nobody's going to own a house anymore.
Well, somebody's got to own the rentals.
Somebody does, right? And I guess it's going to be him.
I mean, I can guarantee you the guy that owns 100 rentals ain't going to rent his primary. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean,
he's getting his for free.
Now, I tell you, I mean, there's so many rentals just mixed in the whole bag of Fannie Mae loans. It's, over the last bunch of years where all these investment companies and big companies and fund companies, the hedge funds buying up hundreds and thousands of properties every year, just subdivisions at a time for rentals.
Yeah. It must be good business, because up there on Gillespie, that's where years and years and years ago, I was in an apartment up there, and it was called IMT is what it was, or I guess that's what it is now. But there was there's three complexes, and there was probably, I'm guessing, 180 apartments in each one, and they're pretty nice, but they've been sold a couple of times over the last 10 years. So it's not like they're buying and holding these things. You would think that they would, but they don't.
Yeah. There was a commercial dealer that we used to rent some space from for our office for like 10 years. And his thing was, and he was huge in Nashville. He's one of the largest. There's a couple of them, but I don't think he held on to them for like 15 years or so, and he'd get rid of big, huge buildings. So maybe that's what they do before they have a thing where, after so many years, the cost may affect it or whatever,
depreciation or some kind of thing, that's the way.
Philip may know more about that than us, so he could chime in on that.
Have we seen the death of the single home? Well, we've got this article coming up in just a moment or two that I think is going to say that that's not going to happen. However, Rodney, you tell me how you feel about this, because that's a really good question. Mm-hmm. It seems to me that builders, anybody who's in the building business, I'm sure that they're thinking about how they're going to make adjustments for the way the market's going. And over the past 30, 40 years, I think if we looked at statistics at how big houses were in 1990 versus in the 2010s, they've gotten to be a lot larger, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that it's reasonable, because I read it someplace, I'm not just making this up, where builders are going to start building more smaller homes to account for affordability?
I think they've already done it. I mean, think about all the ones they're building, 2,500 square feet for 1.2 million. Mm-hmm. They've already done it. Used to you get 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 square feet for $1 million a long time ago. But, now it's 2,500 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think they already have. And I think lot sizes forced them to do it. Cost forced them to do it. And I think they're already doing it. And I think it's been a little bit of a trend to get away from the mega mansions or whatever you call them for a bit now. The problem is, have you seen the death of the single family home? No. Non-luxury? Yes. Yes, it's going to be a non-luxury house, but Correct. It's still going to be expensive. Like if you build it in a county where dirt is expensive, your house is going to be expensive.
Yeah, because you're starting from already a high spot.
So, in this area, problem there. It's like if you build anything in Green Hills, Williamson County, or wherever, it's going to be fairly expensive.
Yeah, Green Hills. The dirt costs you $500,000.
So that's the problem. The single family house is not going to go away. And Andy, you're right on point about the house sizing. I think will continue to creep down some until there's another. I don't know if there's going to be, when is there going to be a land boom where size is okay again?
Yeah. No, my point, the point I'm trying to make, Philip, is, and this is just conjecture, but again, I didn't make this up. I read it. I read it. That what builders are going to build to the market, to what the market wants. So, you have to make a product that people want. Sales right. 101.
And not all builders do, but they, I think their goal is trying to.
About that. Absolutely. But they're going to have a segment, there's some builders like Randy Arnold. He's really, really good. He just builds 2 million and up. That's all he does. And then you've got other companies that they'll do 1 to 2. But then there's others that have some luxury homes and then the less expensive stuff, Mm-hmm. All I'm saying that I don't think affordability is going to be an issue for a while yet.
Yes.
It just is. And the only thing that I can think of is, yes, rates have to come down, but we've got to be careful about that because we're just coming out of it in an inflationary state. it would not take too much excitement to overheat that economy again, you know? And home prices have to come down, if not by the, same house size, but a lower price, but a smaller home at a lower price. That's what I'm saying. They're just going to have to build more economy homes.
Yeah, the thing is, it's just like a lot of these places, like the city areas are built out. Like, everybody's having to go a little bit further out to get some land to build on and things like that. So, yeah, they're building them a little bit smaller, and affordable
And a
as they
little
can.
less fancy, maybe a little less fancy, perhaps.
Well, see, I think when the prices went from when you used to think $1 million house was a special house, it went in and had all kinds of these crazy features. $1 million house now don't even have anything. Don't even have. You might not even have baseboards or anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, luxury baseboards or anything. It's like.
Would you like a granite upgrade in that? What?
Yeah, I mean, seriously. So that's a huge difference. Is what. But there's a builder in our area. Hope you don't mind me mentioning, but it's compliment John Floyd, Old South Properties. He is always basically what I term, he is focused on a starter home or a first time home buyer his whole career, and he has been the Tennessee #1 builder for year after year. And a lot of these builders start out building these first-time homebuyer homes, and then they go to the bigger homes, and then they go to the bigger homes, and then they only build, over $2 million or whatever. But this guy, he loves pumping out 3, 4, 5, 6, 800 single-family houses a year, and does an amazing job at it. But he has to go out and get land position outside of the kind of the areas. The main metropolitan areas. So
I bought just a ton of homes through Trey Lewis. I think you're talking about the same company, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm sure I haven't talked to him in a while, but I'm sure he's still there. I'm sure he is. But those guys are creative. There was a place, make sure I get this right, that is back in the Nolensville, if you're in the Nolensville area, but you go east further a little bit. What was that place? Something, I can't remember what it was. It was Old South Homes, and they found this beautiful property. I don't know how many acres. It probably was 20 or 25 acres, but this beautiful piece of dirt out what you would think is the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you're driving through the country and all of a sudden, bam, there's this development.
Yeah.
They're really smart.
Yeah. He's done awesome with his land land acquisitions for years. It's kept his company ahead. It's
yeah, and I have the greatest respect for those guys because they know how to. They're the ones that people go to when they're having affordability issues, and that's not. I don't mean that in any other way than yay for them.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, they're a starter home company, first time home buyer, whatever you want. And the good thing about it is they work the whole process. They work with the lending team to make sure that there's not, they cover the issues of how they build the houses and all that stuff and the down payment issues. I mean, they've done a great job for a long time.
Yeah, they have. So let's move on to this. So the bottom line is the market going to suck a little bit less? My opinion, you give yours. I think it is going to suck a little bit less. I think it's going to be a better market this coming year. You?
100%. I think it's going to be a decent market. I think it could even be a good or great market at the end of the year. That being said, if we moved on to where the state of the U.S. economy or the housing market is currently, I'm going to show you this in 5 charts. See if I've got everything lined up on this. There we go. Good. So the first one, and we're going to, this kind of touches on what Philip was talking about. In recent months, the U.S. housing market's seen mortgage rates fall. While inventory is tight, we know that there's not enough houses. New home sales were down 27%
Existing home sales have declined 40%, yet home builder stock notched a banner year. And the reason they're looking good is because there's no homes to buy, so you got to build them.
New construction, yes, new construction is basically, almost the only outlet when you have all this golden handcuffed effect.
Yeah, when you got pent up demand, and so the first thing to look at is this: the affordability index. You can see on the right hand side at the bottom, it's just super tough for people to afford things. And all I'm saying this for is this is the state of the current economy. This is what we're working to basically fix. Housing affordability is its lowest level since 1985. It said Redfin, and again, I have no beef with Redfin because one of the things they do really good is data. They're really, really good with their data. They're smart people. Mm-hmm. But Redfin data shows that 15.5% of homes were considered affordable for the average household in 2023, down from 20% the year prior, almost 21%. I mean, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, that picture's hurting, man. But it's just, golly, it is what it is. I mean, the part of the article also talks about decade of underinvestment in construction following the 2008 financial crisis. But it's like we've been around this. It's like every single, there's been times where banks don't lend. You know what I'm saying? It's like they have to beat these builders off to not give them money. So it's like, how about a decade of easier lending policies? That could have been it. But because builders, if you give them the money, they'll build specs. They're not afraid to build.
Those guys are courageous. It only makes sense to me because you and I went through it back in 2010 or 2012 when there was foreclosures on literally every corner. If you were a builder, are you going to be building back then?
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah. No, I mean, the banks wouldn't lend you money from 2008 to how many ever years it was after that. You would have to go in there and deposit 3 times the money you was borrowing just to get it. They can say that, but that ain't realistic. But I think it has more to do with just COVID, people wanting to move to a good city. And and in the good cities across America is just shine because they're good cities and people want to be there. So I don't know. You can say that about home builders, but I don't necessarily agree with that one.
Well, and I think that there's, interestingly enough, there's 2 sides to that comment, meaning they've underbuilt. Well, underbuilding is one thing, but did you account for demand? I mean, yes. I mean, wait a minute. If the demand wasn't there, then the building effort was just fine.
Right. I mean, I didn't see the government stepping in and saying, "Hey, we're going to support or insure our builders, our local home builders by going out and not killing them under FDIC rules or whatever, and giving them a little break or something." But that didn't happen.
There's got to be. We touched on this. I wish I had an index where I could follow the articles that we looked through, but there was one where they're talking about home builders and incentive programs to help them. I think it was affordability was the issue, but you could do that with any level. You just have to build in incentives because the builders, they're the ones, they're tough on buyers. They can be. But they're the ones taking the risk. I mean, they're the ones that are hanging out there,
Yeah. Yeah. I've had, we've seen builders with, 100 homes not sold when that market hit.
Oh man.
You did some finagling to get rid of those things.
Speaking of that, here I go. I finally broke loose. Took me a minute. I don't know if it was Facebook or Thank you. That's what it took. I don't know what it was, but I saw an ad, and it was an ad for a builder. And it was like, we're going to give you 25% off of this. And I mean, it sounded like they were selling pans, I mean, it was, an advertisement. It wasn't, come visit our lovely development. It was, we're going to give you a deal today, and wait, there's more, So they're doing whatever it takes. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So the next chart, because what we're doing is we're summing up the state of the housing in 5 charts. The next one is this: the effective rate currently being paid on all outstanding mortgages versus the current mortgage rate. And you can see the one probably on top is the current one. The reason we mention that is pretty simple. For those in the lower portion, that lower line, they're in their house and they have no reason to leave. That's it. You're calling it golden handcuffs, locked in effect, whatever. Lack of affordability can largely be traced to a decade of underinvestment. That's correct. But a boom for home. Yes, yeah. And so with those low mortgages, few people are going to want to leave unless it's critical. It's critical.
Yes. Oh, and it's all about affordability. Somebody could there's plenty of people, divorce situations, job change, family size change. There's still a lot of people moving. And then there's a lot, I actually see a lot of first time home buyers entering the market right now too, in some of our other areas within the company, but they, like this, like that chart shows, I mean, it's just affordability that's driving them out. I mean, that rate difference is huge in the, like we say, the lock-in effect,
It's going to keep people in their homes. And if we have time, we're going to touch on the silver tsunami, because this blends in as well. I mean, it does. So the next chart is going to be, it's simply about how well the builders are doing. And this is, we're talking about investors thinking, if there's no houses to buy, builders are the place to put our money, because the demand is there. We need the houses, and there's no houses to buy, so we're going to invest. And so that's how the builders are doing so well on their stock.
The builders are doing great.
Yep. And now we're going to talk about, so now it was talking about rising delinquencies in multifamily markets. That's a little over my pay grade. Do you have any idea what they're getting at on that?
I'm not. I think that, first of all, their definition of multifamily, I think, is different than mine. When I think of multifamily, I think of duplex, quadplex. I think they're adding in apartments.
Got it. Okay, that's what it is.
Well, not necessarily like condo, not necessarily like apartments, but multifamily dwellings. But we don't see a lot of the bigger stuff that like they invest in outside of our region, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, like the multi-story stuff.
So in these multifamilies, yes, that would make sense. Times are tougher. Multifamilies are they're going to be investment most of the time. And that's going to be the first property somebody lets go.
Yeah.
If you have a primary and you have an investment, you're typically not going to let pay your note on your investment and get foreclosed on your primary.
And that could explain why there's that turnover on Gillespie Drive. I'm using that name because I can't remember there was those developments up there. And I bet that's part of it, because investors, they cut their losses and move on. It's not emotional.
let me state this for the record right here. You can put this in bold letters. I know nothing about multifamily. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know we can do a loan on it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't really track the data, a lot of
Right.
data on Freddie Mac's multifamily. But I do, it's always concerning when delinquencies are going up. And I'd say this would be a precursor to more important delinquencies happening.
Well, and it's interesting. They were talking about the home builder index, and we'll get off this, but it's kind of interesting. The home builder index increased by 72%, meaning they're doing very well. And this one investor, he said supply constraints in the firm's view should let up thanks to more construction this year, but also because current homeowners, and this is our point, we were making this earlier, current homeowners may have to bite the bullet and move regardless of affordability concerns. Many existing homeowners can only wait so long before they need to sell their homes due to factors such as work relocation, which we know that's changing with remote work from home stuff. It's changing like on a daily basis. Other changes in household circumstances, marriages, divorces. I mean, think about that. How many divorces are there in this country? Good God, Rodney. And marriages and additional children, whatever it's like, those are going to force people, for lack of a better term, to make that move. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And so here's what that looks like. New versus existing homes. And this continues. I mean, look at the new homes. That's the dark line. It's significantly more than the existing homes because there's just no inventory. That's really a shocking number to me.
Right.
I find
it's going to remain that way until rates get to a point where, we can, everybody has great. I mean, it's a bad financial move to go buy another house when you don't have to and double your interest rate. I mean, unless you just want to spend that money on interest, but like if you're frugal and interest is something you don't like to pay, then
I have found in all the years that I've been dealing with people, and I mean, I some of the houses that I sell are to people that I can't imagine what their finances look like because it's so like, I mean, people are buying $1 million properties with cash. How do you do that? I haven't cracked that particular code yet, but I find that people that are frugal with their money very rarely spend it inconsiderately. They're pretty cautious.
Well, that's why they got there.
Yeah.
That's typically why they got there is because they were frugal.
driving a slightly older car because they own it. It's a little bit of the Dave Ramsey thing. So the thing that I wanted to touch base with, and I think we have a couple of minutes here left. What do you want to cover, this or the Fed argument? Do you want to cover the silver tsunami or the Feds?
I'll let you cover it, but my blood pressure might go up if you cover that one where the Governor Bowman adjusts her rate stance.
Well, we don't need any of that, so we're going to stick
with. She was saying going into this last meeting that she is still open to rate hikes. And I'm like, give me a break on that. Get with the rest of the country on you not being open to rate hikes right now. But we can move on from that.
No, I guess we're going to go into the. There's two articles.
I thought that Tides of Change was a good one.
Okay, we'll do that. All right, shifting up on me. Here's the deal. The linchpin, the biggest change that people are looking for or expecting or predicting, and if you watch YouTube videos or just online, it's called about the silver tsunami. And they're saying that this year, 24, is the year when the silver tsunami takes place, which is nothing more than baby boomers, 60 to 80, are going to start selling their homes, flood the market, and here it goes. That's all heck is going to break loose. That's what people are predicting. And there is simply nothing to back that up, but people are counting their chickens before they're hatched on this thing. And so here's where we got. Some experts project that downsizing boomers will bring extra inventory to the market next year. And this was dated December 26th, this article. So this isn't old news. Last year, it was a particularly tough one for buyers looking to break into the housing market. No news there. And many blame, I thought this was great.
Yeah, I did too. I like this.
They're blaming the baby boomers for this year's low inventory levels, saying the boomers are holding onto their homes for too long.
And not giving the millennials a chance to buy.
Blocking already struggling millennials and Gen Zers for... Boy, I could get into political diatribe there, but I'm not gonna.
That's our second show.
That's on. You'll be invited to that
crazy
one.
News stories, right?
You know, we can do private shows where I'll cut. There's no limits.
Yeah, I thought that was a very. I mean, just a standard to kind of state where your country's at. A group of one blaming the other one for not selling their houses.
For enjoying their living circumstances. How could you're so mean? You thoughtless bastard. Ooh, sorry.
Yeah.
So in early November, Meredith Whitney, deemed the Oracle of Wall Street by Bloomberg for accurately predicting 2008 financial crisis, made the call that a silver tsunami of baby boomers would start downsizing in 24 and 25. Mm-hmm. And I bet she's, I don't know how she's, I'm not going to say. Whitney said 51% of people over the age of 50 are set to downsize to smaller homes, citing an AARP report, which, have you ever watched their ads? It starts off with, although I don't agree with them on everything. What kind of ad is that? Next time you see an AARP ad, that's how it starts. I don't know what got me into that, but I was always curious about that. Anyway, citing an AARP report, the move would bring 30 million housing units to the market. That's a little optimistic, wouldn't you say?
Yes, that's hugely optimistic. I mean, when you say 60 to 80, okay, these people from 60 to 80 are going to, and they probably will, the majority of them probably will transition into some smaller dwelling at some point in time. They've got 20 years. That's a 20-year span. But I'll tell you, I do agree that there'd be a tsunami, but the tsunami would come with the rates. The tsunami, the 60 to 80s are not, in my opinion, are not going to move like a 35-year-old and just try to say, okay, well, I'll deal with this 7% rate for a while and just refinance it. That 60 to 80-year-old person is probably going to sit there and say, I'll just wait till the rates get a little bit better.
All day. I mean, because let's go back and look at this chart.
Yeah.
That's the outstanding versus the current mortgage rate. If you're on that lower line, I think I'll just stay here. I'm good.
I mean,
good.
I mean, if I found, like, I would like to move. If I found the exact perfect property, I would. But I ain't out searching for it because I don't want to pay the rate today.
Plus, I mean, let's do the math on baby boomers. Let's do that. First, and I searched diligently looking for how many homeowners in the United States. There's 128 million households in the United States, 128 million. And I tried to search through AI. I mean, I did diligent. There you go, Philip. Sell them to me in the area I want for real cheap. Perfect. It's such the entrepreneur.
I mean, he wrote the book, buy low, sell high. I mean,
that's right.
He's not a dummy.
How I'm telling you, he's very smart. But so here's the deal on the baby boomers. If we just do the math, if you have a baby boomer that has a house, but yet buys a smaller house, the sum total on that is zero. If
Mm-hmm.
you have a baby boomer that moves into a nursing home or assisted care, whatever, that's going to be +1 for the inventory, right?
Right.
And then the third version is a little sadder than that. If you have people that are dying, those homes are also becoming available.
Yeah.
But the lion's share, that 50 million or 40 million or whatever that is, they're either going to stay put or they're going to be moving into the smaller, less expensive home when the rates get better. Because has anybody looked into the expense of assisted care? I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I mean, yeah, it's awful.
$8,000 a month or something
Yeah.
crazy. God, there's some here in Brentwood, and I did some research for a video a while back, and I was asked, "What's it cost per month?" The guy goes, "It's only about 11,000." What? A month?
Yeah. I think we got a lot of little smaller counties around us that have really nice places you can take people to. That's just not that crazy expensive. But yes, the ones around here are wild.
Golly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's the argument? What are we looking for here? We're looking for an answer on how to get more inventory. Excuse me, more inventory. And
Well,
so,
yeah. I mean, I
go
think
ahead.
it's going to come. I think it's going to come. I
No
think that
question.
the lock-in effect is not only for boomers. The lock-in effect is for a lot of people. The
Oh
golden
God.
handcuffs, whatever. So I think, as we get into the high fives, we're going to start unleashing the lock-in effect,
Yeah.
and then it's going to continue until it just dissolves, where it's not that huge part of our, of why people are making decisions on buying homes.
The,
This is the
the,
craziest thing I've ever seen, is that where the rates, are locking in half the nation of not staying out of the market. I've never seen it before.
and the pent up I think you were the one that really coined the phrase for me, at least on this show. The pent up demand is going to be outrageous. People are dying to do something.
I think so too. I think so. It's
But
been too many years they haven't had an opportunity to.
that's exactly right. But here's my point on the pent up demand, and it goes back to what we've been talking about this last few weeks upon that discovery from the Housing Wire, really good podcast, Housing Wire. The first thing that we have to see for people to release that pent up demand is going to be duration. The market has to be stable. Mortgage rates, wherever they are, have to be
Mm-hmm.
stable and make us feel safe, for either safe that they're not going to go crazy, or safe that we're going to get a loan for 6.4 and the next expect it to go to 6.0 in 2 months, that kind of safe.
Right.
And that leads you to, but here's the thing. You're correct. People are going to start moving when the rates get right. But when it comes to the final line on this was the best. It was the best joke I'd ever seen in this article, talking about the baby boomers. And it said the demographic trends, like that tsunami, that's not going to be happening. It's more like a trickle.
Yeah.
It's like a prostate problem to me. That's what I'm seeing.
Well, I think we're going, like, over the period of this 20 years, the 60
Oh yeah.
to 80 years, let's say that's happening right now for the next 20 years, the
Mm-hmm.
boomers are going to be 60 to 80.
Yep.
And that is definitely going to increase what the housing activity in that sector. So, but it won't. There's absolutely no way on the face of the planet that would fix affordability issues. But every little bit helps, right? I mean, because if these people are moving, it's probably a lot of other people moving as well.
And Philip has brought up a good point. It was in some of these readings that we did. They're talking about how the government, I don't know how they would do this, are going to keep things in a good position until the election, right?
Yeah. Some are saying, yeah. That, you always hear, it's election year, rates are going to be better after the election, prices come down after election. It's market driven. But the elections are hugely important right now in our country. I mean, it's as far as the maybe not as the policies go, because once they get in there, it seems like they're always gridlocked and nothing ever happens for 4 years. But one of them has a House, one of them has a Senate, so it's like, okay, we're not going to do nothing for 4 years. We'll see you in 4 years. But but I don't know. Everybody has the election thing. Everybody always looks at the election year as a driving factor, but I think the biggest factors that's driving our market is still what we've been talking about the whole time: affordability issues, inventory issues, and rates. And they're all three related. I mean, you can throw in income in there, but that's kind of we have less to discuss.
Well, I mean, and these days they're going to be able to talk about wages went up at a higher percentage than inflation. Somebody's going to be able to claim that as a statistic, but what does that mean when you go buy $6 potato chips at the grocery store?
Yeah, I think they might can claim that, but I don't know anybody that's not feeling it at the grocery store, the gas pumps, everywhere. It's like all that bread, all that stuff, all of our goods are higher.
I couldn't believe it. I went to get a bag of chips. They were $6. I was like, what kind of potatoes are these? Anyway.
Yeah. I had to put them back.
I actually did put them back, and I did.
Good for you.
I was, yes.
Waste $6 on M&Ms or something. I mean, get a good value.
Well, I just saved my $6 and thought I don't need the calories anyway. I was irritated. So let's finish up this. We got 10 minutes. We can do this. I'm going to kind of kick a couple ideas around, and you tell me what you think. When it comes to the housing market, I really do believe, yes, we've got inventory. Yes, we've got prices. Yes, we've got rates. But it boils down to, and we've been preaching this for months, it boils down to the attitude of the buyers. The market, the Wall Street depends on how the investors feel. Are they optimistic? Dow Jones goes up. Are they pessimistic? Dow goes down. We know that home builders, investors are pretty happy with what home builders have. Those are big numbers for those guys. So they're going to do good. But here's what I think's got to happen. You tell me. Number one, it's got to be stable, like I said before. Second, there was an article that read, and this is going to mess everything up for everybody. It said the Fed will slash rates 6 times this year as recession spreads across the U.S. and job markets deteriorate, market veteran says. That's, in my humble opinion, and he's smarter than me, but he's nuts to think that they're going to slash 6 times. How hot do you think this economy would be after 2?
I think, if we get our rates in the mid 5s, okay, which is a full, say we're at 6.5 now. We're a little over that. So that's 4 cut, well, not necessarily them, but, 200 basis points or whatever. But
right.
It would have to kick it. It would have to significantly kick off a lot more activity. I see no. But what this guy's saying is that he's already seeing some other states already kind of weakening to where they're almost in a recession.
Mm-hmm.
And he's thinking that if these, he thinks that, his quote is, if you put it on a map and look at it, it looks like a disease spreading across the states, he said. For their unemployment rate, the job market is also notorious for unraveling quickly at the dawn of a recession that could spell trouble for U.S., which has seen its jobless rate tick higher for most of the past year. When things fall apart, they fall apart fast. When employment rate starts moving higher, it tends to move higher quickly. Mm-hmm. So that's I think his rationale for 6, where other people are just saying we're going to have 2, 3, several, or whatever, few. I think if he foresees these things going down faster, and some of our states are already dipping into a recession bucket, he sees a six. Now I don't see that. I don't see that because I read that other article of that the Bowman lady says she would consider a hike right now. So in that other article,
Yeah.
so that lady's voting on it. So I don't know if she's going to vote on 6 of them or not, unless somebody starts twisting.
And we see, and we can finish it up this way. My point on this conversation is that when somebody's out there trumpeting the Fed's going to slash rates 6 times, the word is going to get out, and some people are going to say, well, honey, I want to buy a house just as bad as you do, but let's wait and see if those rates don't go down by summer. Let's wait and see if those rates don't go down by September, whatever. That's going to cause people to put their waiting shoes on. That's what I'm saying. And I was watching Jamie Dimon this morning, and he said exactly what you said. He said they need the Fed. This is Jamie Dimon, JP Chase, right? I think JP Morgan. What he said was they need to let this sit to have its effect. Leave it alone is what he's saying for a minute.
Yeah, and I think that, I think they have. I mean, I think they're starting to do that, and numbers are still trickling down from their policy earlier in the year. So I think we're still doing all that correctly. But yeah, I think that guy's a little aggressive. Maybe not. I mean, things could happen and go that way. He's not too far off, I don't think, because I mean, everybody's predicting 2, 3, 4 cuts. I mean,
I haven't seen the majority of the ones. I haven't seen that many, but Well,
they're going to have to. I don't know. If other states are already slipping in, which I don't follow that a lot, I'm taking that comment worth, from what from that article. But it seems to me that if they got started early, you could have a numerous amount. But if they wait till March or April or May to do one, then you just only have 8 months left of the year, so you're not going to see a crazy number. But if they come out and do one in February, then
and you make a really good point when you point that out. When you put it on a map, it looks like a disease spreading across the U.S. It is really easy to take what most of the articles have to homogenize into an average, like median home prices and stuff. Mm-hmm. Median home price of $357 doesn't mean that's what it is in Brentwood.
Right. Median home price is going to skyrocket when the rates come down and a normal sales price house, because right now everything is selling is way on the lower, there's less, $10 million houses than $1 million houses. So it's like our median price is just a number based on, it's a good reflection now, but it's going to skyrocket once rates go lower.
Right. But I think what my point is, and I'll drop off after this, is when he talks about that map looking like a disease, and when you have an average, it can feel normal if you're looking at that homogeneous average across the country versus living one of those hot spots that he's talking about. That's not so good,
Yeah.
So that's good. Wow, what a fun day. So I'm going to finish. Can we make a gentleman's bet? For 2024. Here we go.
For 2024.
Yes, I bet there will be a total of 3 rate cuts this year. I think there's going to be 3.
All right, I'll go with 4. Okay. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go with 5.
5. And I'm going to say 0.25 for each of the 3. You're going to stick with 0.25 for each of your 5?
I'm going to stick with 0.25 too.
Okay. Yeah, because, man, if they did half or 7, it would take off. Okay, I'm going to write this down, and it's going to be like...
That's right.
for a double decker burger of some
You
kind.
got it. You got it. Fries, drink included.
Drink included.
Milkshake.
Shake. Oh, how fun. Well, listen, Roddy, thanks. It's so good to be back with you this year. Angie, so good to see your name on there. Philip, say hi to Wendy. Give her a big hug for me. And hope the young one's all right. Thanks for being with us. Rodney, thank you very much. Any last thoughts?
No, good. Thanks for everybody for joining and for watching the replay, and holler at us if you need us.
And we'll see you next week, next Tuesday. Bye, Rodney.
See ya.